Welcome back to another episode of Open RCT2 Tutorials. In this video, I'm going to show you how to retrofit the Escape roller coaster from the Six Flags Magic Mountain scenario and turn it into the Superman Escape from Krypton coaster, and adding Lex Luthor's Drop of Doom to the side of the structure, just as they existed in real life, but RIP to the Superman coaster as it no longer exists, but the Lex Luthor Drop of Doom still exists on the side of the structure, as you can see in this photo. A very cool feat of engineering to attach the ride to the existing coaster. So really fun, iconic coaster and drop tower that will be really fun to build in the game, and I will show you some new tricks along the way. So let's get started. So first, I'm going to open the Six Flags Magic Mountain scenario, and here we can see the Escape coaster, and it doesn't quite make it to the top of the tower, so they are a little bit too tall. So we can fix that. But first, let's zoom in. I'm going to make the scenery invisible, and we don't need this second track here, so I'm just going to delete it. So we're just going to use the one track. So now I'm going to open the tile inspector, and we're actually going to copy the station right here. So take this piece right here, select the track, hit the copy button, move it over one, and press paste. And we'll do that with the back half of the station too. Select the track, hit the copy button, move over one tile, hit the paste button, and now we have our dual station with just one entrance and exit building. So we only need one queue line and one exit ramp. So I'm going to delete the extra queue and exit ramp because the guests will just be using the one entrance and exit building here. And now I'm going to take that second station, which is actually a copy of station 1, and we're going to build the rest of the track, our second side right there. So this is all just one ride, even though it appears as two tracks. And we're just going to build the tower here, and it doesn't need to be quite as tall as they built it in this scenario. So I'm actually going to get rid of some of these extra tower pieces because we just don't need them. And that's a more appropriate height. And now I want to color the ride so it looks more like the existing structure with the blue and the red towers, but I want the invisible color scheme, which is not available. So opening up the cheats here, we can turn on allow special color schemes, and that will allow us to have the invisible color. So now I can access that, and I actually want to get rid of the tower portion here. So I'm just going to make all of this invisible like so. And then this last piece here at the bottom, I'm going to open up the tile inspector and actually just, you can select the tile here and select this piece here, and we're going to make it invisible. And then we can do it right here, select that tile right there that it is on, and then find the correct track piece in the tile inspector and just make it invisible. And then I'm going to open the scenery, and we're going to build back the structure with this scenery here. And whoops, need to turn on disable clearance checks to do that. And now we can build our tower up to, let's say, something like here. I actually built two of them because the top half is going to be red, so I'm going to paint that red. And now opening the tile inspector, we're just going to lower that scenery object all the way to the bottom, just above the surface, so that the supports show up, and do the same thing for this red one here. If you just hold down Control and select, you can just click right on the appropriate scenery objects. And here I'm just going to move this one up a little bit, just adjust the heights. And now I'm going to copy that scenery and move over to the other tower. So Control, actually need to hit Control right there on the invisible piece, hit paste, and now we have our structure there, and just lower it down in the order to right there. And now I'm going to hit Control and click on the blue one, hit the copy button, and we're going to move over to, let's select that one and hit paste. So now I have my other blue structure here, and just move it down to just above the surface. And I'm going to do the same thing for the red one, just lower it down just above the other one in the tile inspector order. And then here at the base, we need to color these two pieces blue. And now with the land tool, I'm going to flatten the base around the tower, flatten all the land so we have room for the Lex Luthor Drop of Doom ride. And now I just need to copy the tower piece over just one more. I want to make a little bit wider of a tower, so I'm just using the tile inspector to paste over the blue structure, or you could just use the scenery object selection here and just paste the tower. So now back at the station of the Superman ride, I'm just going to quickly change the cars to reversed, and now I need to open up the cheats, and we need to turn on a few more. So let's turn on allow arbitrary ride type changes, show vehicles from other track types, disable vehicle limits, and then I think while we're here, let's turn on the allow chainless on all track types. Now we are able to select two cars for the Superman ride, and I'm going to quickly color them something similar to what it looked in real life. So we have a red car and a green kind of car. And now I'm going to change the station to plane so we can see it better. And testing the ride will spawn the vehicles, but they are both on the same track. So we're going to double close it and then respawn them and then close it quickly so that they don't move down the track. Now we're going to open up the Edit Ride Vehicles plugin. If you don't have it, it's linked in the video description. Make sure you have the most recent version, at least version 2.2 is what we need for this. So using the eyedropper tool, we will select our vehicle here. And you can see this little selection tool is available. However, if we just test the ride now and the ride is moving, we're not able to select the vehicle. So with it closed like this, we can actually select the car and drag it to wherever we want. So I just dropped it down on the second station we pasted there. So now each ride is on its own station. We can test it and they're off. They're able to go down our track simultaneously, even though they both are sharing station 1 technically. So that's all there is to it to get this ride going. So really simple and fun there. And we can see that once they arrive back at the station, they are going to be slightly out of sync because they will not synchronize because we copied and pasted station 1. So station 1 can't synchronize with itself. So over time, the cars will become more and more out of sync with themselves, but that's okay. We have our working ride and it's going to get really good stats, just like the original coaster. So let's move on to Lex Luthor Drop of Doom. We need to build a roto drop, but it's not available. So I'm going to open up the invention list and let's move all of the items to the top. We don't have time to research anything right now. So now we have our roto drop available and I want to place it here, but you need to make sure that the arrow is facing towards the tower. So I'm going to place it right next to the tower right here. And I want to turn on the chain lift, and that is going to help so that the carriages don't slam into the station so fast, and it's also going to help them rise up to the top a little bit faster. So I'm going to build that up to about here, and now I'm going to turn off the chain lift piece and build the rest of the tower all the way to the top with the chain lift turned off. And now I'm going to build our entrance and our exit. And what we need to do now is change the vehicle type to the laydown roller coaster, which is not available. So opening up the object selection, we can now go into coasters and type in laydown and select the laydown roller coaster. And now we can change the vehicle type to the laydown roller coaster. And if we change it now to the vertical drop coaster or the twister roller coaster, we are able to change the lift speed to 7 miles per hour. So that will give it a faster lift up to the top of the tower. So changing it back to the roto drop, we can see now as the carriage leaves the station, it's going to speed up as it hits the chain lift. So now it's rising up at 7 miles per hour, which is much faster than the normal roto drop, which will help with capacity. And once it gets to about here, it's going to slow down because there's no more chain lift. So it's going to rise very slowly to the top. So now we can force a breakdown, which will cause a little bit of issue with this method because once the ride starts to drop, it will get stuck on the chain lift. And the method behind all of this madness is explained in my Speedy Towers video and also my Power Tower video. So you can check out those tutorials for more. But as you can see, the breakdown forces the ride to get stuck at the chain lift. So once we fix the ride, the problem is the carriage just gets stuck on the chain lift. So what we do is open the tile inspector and we find here is the tile that the track that has the chain lift turned on. So we go just above it and we just turn on the chain lift for all of these pieces here. But we're only doing it on this track piece because vertical track pieces take up 2 different tiles and we only want the chain lift turned on to this specific tile for each track piece. So I'll do that for all of them. Almost to the top, I'm going to stop right about here with the chain lift. And as you can see, the ride is going to fall back to Earth. And now it has escaped the breakdown problem. What we need to do now is make it look not like a roto drop. So what I'm going to do is change it to the twister coaster. And now I want to build a little piece like this. So I can't do it too high for supports. So let's enable no support limits. And now I'm going to open the tile inspector and we just need to move this piece, just move it down 1 unit. And once that is moved into position, we can open up the construction window and build downward. But oops, it's not going to let us do that because it's at an invalid height. So opening up the cheat menu, we turn on allow building at invalid heights. So now we can build all the way down to the ground here. And that will be our display track. And I'm going to color it blue and just make the top portion red so it matches the tower. And I'm quickly going to delete the top piece of track and adjust the tower just slightly here. And now what we need to do is change this back to the roto drop. And as you can see, opening up the tile inspector, you can see that the middle track has all of our tower pieces here. We are actually going to have the regular tower pieces and the ones we just built at Invalid Heights, which you can't see at the moment. And now if we move to this piece, you can see that it's just the station track that we have. But this piece here, you can actually see more track pieces, but they are all invisible because vertical track takes up 2 pieces. So it takes up 2 tiles. So what we're going to do is open up the Scenery Manager plugin. If you don't have it, it's linked in the video description. But turn off the surface here and hit the select button. And we're going to select some tiles here. You want to select those 2 tiles that have the vertical track. So those 2 pieces. So once they are selected, we're going to hit the copy button. And now we can copy the tower anywhere we want. So we're going to click right next to it to the left, paste it there, rotate to the other side, and we're going to paste, actually we need to rotate it now, so hit the rotate button to 180 degrees, and there we paste the other 2 towers on this side. So now hit the escape button to get rid of it. And now let's move on to the ride vehicles. So in this window, we're going to change it to 4 cars per train. So just 1 train with 4 cars. Test it to spawn the vehicles and then close it, and the vehicles aren't moving. So we're going to open up the Edit Ride Vehicles plugin once again and use the selection to select Vehicle 1 here. So once you're on Vehicle 1, we're going to use the track progress here and move Vehicle 1 up a few units until, yep, all the vehicles moved slightly. So that made this little picker icon available, so we can drag and drop Vehicle 1 to the tower on the left here. Now if we move back to Vehicle 2 here, you can see it's at track progress 1, whereas Vehicle 1 is at track progress 0. So just move Vehicle 1 to track progress 1. Vehicle 2 is at track progress 1. Now Vehicle 3, we're going to move it over to the other tower and make sure it's at track progress 1. And Vehicle 4, move it to this tower here, and then make it at track progress 1. So all of our vehicles are at track progress 1. They're all aligned on their separate towers, and if we test it and everything was done correctly, the vehicles should move as 1. So you can see that here. If not, just try again if you don't get them all synchronized. So it's just 1 train on 4 separate towers. They reach the top, they pause, and my computer's a little jerky, but they eventually make it to the bottom. So now we have our working ride, really nice, but it's going to get horrible stats because it is so tall. So if you open up the Edit Ride Vehicles plugin, you can hit the Edit Ride button in the right, and then hit the freeze rating calculation, use the multiplier at 100, and you can manually change all of the stats. So let's give it some good excitement and intensity and low nausea. And now we can change the ride type to the multi-dimension coaster, and that looks realistic. That is exactly how we want the ride to look. But the only problem is, as you see here, when it reaches the station, it will kind of get stuck and pause like that and kind of jitter like this, and then it will start moving up. So it does this when you change the ride type from roto drop. So let's change it back to the roto drop, and to get around this issue, not that it's a problem, it's just kind of weird, but if we open the Ride Editor plugin, which is also linked in the video description, we can select the ride, RotoDrop 1 here, and we can actually just manually change the visuals. So select this and change it to the multi-dimension coaster and hit apply, and that will just override the visuals and make it appear as a multi-dimension coaster without actually being a multi-dimension coaster. So now the ride isn't going to get stuck at the station and jitter, it's just going to go up like it's supposed to. So that will help with capacity, no jitter issues. But now let's make everything look pretty, so I'm just going to lower the land here and add some scenery and some queue lines and things like that. So now we can have our working ride here with the queue line, and we can open things up, and the peeps are loving it. So you can see as they board the ride, they go to their respective carriages. So they will board both sides like so, and once everyone's on, the ride will carry on, and it's going to rise up slowly and then hit the chain lift and speed up. And then once it returns back to the station, the riders will just head for the exit from all of the different vehicles, and here they are boarding the 2 different sides of the tower. So looks pretty nice, and off they go once again. So I think this is a great attraction to add to the side of any tower. And here we can watch them in action. As we reach the top, it's going to slow down slightly, and we're going to pause for a bit and back down to earth. So what an awesome addition to the park. Here's a zoomed out view, and you can see Superman escape from Krypton also on the tower. That just looks so awesome. But back with Superman, you can see the guests will board the one side of the station, and then it's going to wait 10 seconds because I think I have that minimum wait time set. And as they get off the green train, they're going to board again from the entrance onto the green train like so. And I can turn off that minimum waiting time, and there they go. And here's another angle. The red car comes back, the peeps get on, and then it's going to immediately leave. And then the green train's back in the station, and they're going to board again. And like I said earlier, you can't use the synchronize with adjacent station button because Station 1 cannot synchronize with a copy of itself. But overall, I think this is a great addition to the Six Flags Magic Mountain scenario, and it really helps increase the capacity of both of these rides. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and also check out the Power Tower and Speedy Tower tutorial videos for more on how these tricks work. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider becoming a YouTube or Patreon member, where you will receive early access to all my latest videos and other benefits. And also check out my RCT2 swag and merch, linked in the video description. And as always, make sure to subscribe, because for my next tutorial, I polled my YouTube members, and you guys voted the tutorial you want to see next is for the giant top spin, so stay tuned for more.